What's going
What's
on,
up?
my man?
How are you?
Good, bro. You?
Good, man. Same old, same old.
Same old,
You
same
train
old.
today?
What's news?
Do you train today?
Yeah, leg day.
Oh, gross.
Yeah. Strength was so shit.
2 weeks out. Less. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
2 weeks out.
it's hitting, that's for
12
sure.
days out. Huh?
It's hitting, that's for sure. We're pushing for this condition.
Did
Um,
your weight dropped any more than what it did before Melbourne?
yeah, it is lower. So I reckon by the time we start like the peaking process, I should be like a kilo and a half, 2 kilos down. But honestly, it's like it's so stagnant right now, even though I'm like fucking I've been on lows for 5 days, 5 or 6 days. Just doesn't want to budge at the moment.
Do you think
But
it's just inflammation?
yeah, a little bit of it was like last week, like I'm not even pushing it on legs by any
Yeah.
means. And like both leg sessions last week, just I pulled up sore.
It always gets to that point. The last few weeks of preps is like, no matter how like easier you try and take it with it, and you try and pull back a little bit, you always just end up fucked anyway because they're copping such a
Yeah.
beating. Is
So like with today's session, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna drop the load back a little bit more. And I did occlusion bands on the leg press. So I'm
Yeah.
like, that way I don't have to use as much load, slowed things down a touch, like managed to get somewhat of a pump, if
Yeah.
you can call it that. But I'm like, I don't want my fucking legs inflamed because it takes like 3 or 4 days for it to come down. And then it's leg day again.
Yeah.
And I just want a true indication of where my weight's at the moment. And last week I wasn't able to get that because from both sessions I was just like, fuck, I'm sore.
Yeah. You have
So sorry.
2 leg days a week.
Yeah. So I got like my main quad focus day, I guess. And then I've got a posterior day, which it just has two back movements at the start.
Yeah.
Um, and then like they're spaced out nicely and everything. It's never an issue.
Well,
Um,
it's just obviously fatigue's creeping up and recovery capabilities are obviously quite low at the moment anyway, so it doesn't really
yeah.
matter.
And like strength has only just taken a hit. Like I was able to give it a little nudge on Friday's posterior session with the leg press. Like it was still moving weights that I was moving 10 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I held back in like reps to failure. They're probably working 4 or 5 reps in reserve easily. And
Yeah.
I only did like one top set. Again, I'm just like I really don't want to be sore because the food's not there for the recovery.
No. What's the food diet? Is it super low?
330 protein, 150 carb, and 60 fat. So it's down there.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't gone lower than that.
The
Besides,
fat's pretty high.
yeah, yeah. Um, like the lowest it goes will be on the deplete days.
Yeah.
So like, that's what I'm saying. Like my weight will be lower by the time we start like
Yeah.
deplete days and fat loads. And like even looking this morning, we had to check in. I'm like, all right, it's definitely leaner than what it was 4 weeks ago, even though the scale is only saying it's like a kilo and a half, maybe. But the look is definitely leaner than what it was.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm at that stage of prep. I don't know if you're the same, but I just want to buy shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like I'm bored. So I'm like, yeah, let's go spend some money. Like I ordered the new Apple Watch and AirPods today.
It's such a bad position to be in, eh?
You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, my Apple Watch is like the third gen. So I've had
Yeah.
this like 6 years. It's not like it's a stupid upgrade, but I'm like, far out, man. Like, I had an Instagram ad pop up yesterday for a pair of dunks that were on sale. I'm like, yep, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah.
And I'm not a spender at all. Like,
No.
I will argue with myself. Like a week or so ago, I argued with myself about spending $30 on a new iPhone case.
Yeah.
It took me an hour to order it.
But iPhone cases are different because $30 on an iPhone case, I think, is a lot. Like we when I got
No.
this got like the new phone like a few weeks ago. And Maya was like, you need a case because I'm always like getting shitty cases or don't have a case, and then
Yeah.
always end up fucking cracking my screen or something.
Yeah,
And I was like, but I have to get a Kmart one because I will not pay any more than $10 for a case.
bro. I made the same purchase last year. It got to like 2 weeks out. I'm like, yep, iPhone case.
Yeah,
Instead of buying a phone, I'm gonna get a new case because I
it
was
makes
so
you
set
feel
on
like
getting
you
a new
have
iPhone.
to.
I was so set on getting a new phone. And then the new phones, the new iPhones came out. I'm like, it's exactly the same as last year's.
Yeah,
So I'm like, all right, I'll hold off. Let me get a new phone. Got a new screen cover on. I'm like, this is a new phone.
yeah,
That lasted like 2 days, and I'm like, I need to spend some money right
yeah.
now.
It's fucked. That's why I mean that's why I got the 15 Pro Max recently because
Yeah,
obviously 16 comes out this week or whatever it is.
yeah.
It's like I don't think I haven't seen anything different. So I'm like, it's all the same anyway.
And I end up feeling like I become a tech expert when they're coming out when I'm far from it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's going to be better next year.
Start researching into them all, you
Yeah.
know.
What
Hello,
up,
sir.
Scotty?
Yep.
Welcome.
You know who I am? I'm Paul. I'm the guy who just has to redo his settings. You know how you have an old guy on every podcast? Let me just sort out the audio situation here. Mic back. Here we go. Speakers. That's what we need. Different speakers. There we go.
You're
All right.
definitely hitting the Paul roll.
Got
Yeah.
you. We
Cool.
good.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Welcome, mate. You're our first guest.
I appreciate it. There's some big shoes to be filled here. Sitting in for
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah.
Tommy
Yeah.
decided to fuck off to Japan 2 weeks in, and here we are.
Nah, I'm
Replacement
honored to
sorted.
be part of it.
We want to get your Olympia picks today, Scotty.
Yeah, sure. I'm up for anything and everything.
All right.
We need to work out a good bet because obviously shaving your head isn't going to be a good one for you, Scotty.
Great idea, the head shaving.
But you do it every few days anyway.
Exactly right.
Um,
No tattoos. I don't have a tattoo. We're not doing a tattoo, but
we're gonna do it. No. Scotty, what's going on? How's this season been so far?
it's been a good season for me and the team. I've been very, very happy with the way the crew's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to nationals and seeing it all culminate there. But we got another big one coming up in the Sydney this weekend. We've got a couple of contenders taking the stage there as well. So we'll see how it all plays out.
How many you got this weekend?
Got 6 in Sydney.
Holy shit.
Mm.
God, I know I'm gonna guess most of them are bikini girls, but you've got a classic guy as well.
Adrian, yeah.
Got 2 classic guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, Adrian's our front runner in the Open. I mean, it's his first show, but he looks like a contender.
That's great. Yeah.
So really, really excited to see how he shapes up and compares to everyone on stage. And then yeah, it's mostly the bikini crew from there.
Yeah. So obviously you had Maya 2 weeks ago now. Take
Yeah.
Perth.
Yep.
Did you have any over the weekend?
Yeah, had 9 in Queensland. Didn't have any open wins, but had some open placings, some true novice wins, stuff like that. So some good results up there, but no overall champions. At Team Goble here, we only really go by overall champions. And we've got 3 so far, with Jen in Victoria and Tim and Maya in WA. So I'm super keen to see how they shape up against the Queensland crew. The Queensland show produced a lot of serious contenders. Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
How'd you find the venue?
There was awesome aspects of the venue, and then there was downsides of the venue. The lighting for the spectators wasn't that great. I hear it translated pretty well in the live stream.
I disagree.
It was pretty rough.
Well, according to Tony Doherty, it was absolutely spectacular on the live stream.
Like, don't get me wrong, aesthetically, it looked fantastic. Like,
it was very professional.
Yeah, I spoke to Brett today when I saw him at the gym, and I said like the darker backdrop looked really good. And like the filming itself this season's been the best it's ever been.
Yeah.
But lighting wise, I couldn't tell, or me and Ruby watching the show were like, we can't work out if these guys are in condition or not.
Yeah.
You couldn't work it out if you were there either. To be completely fair, the lighting was bad. Everyone acknowledges the lighting was bad. Tony knows.
Yeah.
Everyone involved in the setup of the show acknowledges the lighting was
Look, it
bad. They
was the
sort of
first time there too, so you can't expect it to be perfect.
Yeah, look, the issue was the floor.
Yeah,
The
we thought so.
floor was a bright white reflective sort of surface, and the lighting was bouncing off the floor and then sort of uplighting the lower body. So you were losing heaps and heaps of lower body
Yeah.
conditioning. And look, I guess the only upside of that is everyone was judged under the same conditions.
Well, yeah, no one can complain.
Yeah, from the judge's perspective, really up close, you could probably discern conditioning pretty well still.
Yeah.
But if you were more than a few rows back as a spectator, we were doing exactly the same as what you were doing on the live stream. Going up, just I don't know, I can't
Yeah.
really tell.
I know that Corey, Ethan, and I assume Nay as well. They all like their videos and stuff, like their professional videos, obviously for all the competitors, they all came up pretty good. Like, so I think from where obviously that I guess they were just behind the judges, I say. So maybe in that area it was pretty solid and so up close with very professional cameras. Obviously, it's probably a little bit of a different story, but I feel like yeah, probably the further back you got, it was a bit of a tough one.
I
Yeah,
heard.
I spoke to Nay today, and she was the same. Like she can manipulate contrast and alter things and adjust to the lighting conditions. But yeah, look, I mean, the judges weren't thrilled with the lighting. Tony wasn't happy with the lighting. They understand they have to rectify it. They believe there are steps they can take within that venue to fix it.
Yeah.
But with what they had and the notice they had rocking up on the Friday trying to get it sorted, it was kind of the best they could manage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right. Like we said, it's the first time at the venue, and from everything else I've heard, venue-wise, it was an amazing venue.
Yeah, it was a good venue. Like it had awesome aspects to it. The best thing about it, there were TVs absolutely everywhere. So
Yeah,
no matter where you were in the venue, you could look up and you could say, okay, that's a wellness division, or that's
yeah, that's
that's a
right.
classic physique division, and you could get a gauge on what was going on and the timing of the show. So that was really good. The backstage area was okay. It was probably a little bit cramped for a show of that size, but you're hard pressed to find a great backstage area in
Yeah,
Queensland with those sorts of numbers. It still ran really well. Considering the amount of competitors that took to the stage, they pumped it out in a really timely manner, and I don't think they missed anyone or like rushed the judging. It's just they're getting really, really slick. Like if they need to punch out a show, they can just punch out a show. So
yeah,
it was a really awesome show.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I know they had like 370 odd with crossovers, and I think New South Wales it's over 300 with crossovers now, and I'm sure there'll be a few late sign-ups. There always is. It's just going to be interesting to see how many of these come down for the nationals. Because I know the past few years it's been up in Queensland, and the nationals have been huge because it's in Queensland, it's where the biggest show is. So it's going to see how much, it's going to be interesting to see how much of this translates down with it being here this year for the first time in a few years.
Yeah, look, the vast majority of my clients are coming down.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
It'll be really interesting to see how it goes in Melbourne. The national show is a funny show. Like I know I've heard some people saying, "Oh, it's at Kingston. I don't know how that's going to go. It's not that big, rah rah." But like traditionally, the national show doesn't sell as many tickets
Yeah.
because there's that many interstaters, and they only bring like one family member or their partner or something like that. So they don't really generate ticket sales. What generates ticket sales is local competitors.
Yeah.
So I think like I love that Moorabbin venue just because of the stage lighting and the
Yeah.
ease of the backstage area and things like that. I think
Definitely.
it's a really good venue in that regard. It's not a fancy new venue, but it's an incredibly functional venue, and I think they're gonna put on a great
Yeah,
show there.
definitely backstage wise, it's probably one of the better venues that I've been to anyway. I mean, the Sleeman setup is pretty good as well, I guess. It's got the space, but convenience wise of like where the backstage is and how easy it is to get the stage and the space you have, um, it's definitely probably one of the better ones.
I think it's easy to get around in general as well. It's easy to
Yeah,
like go backstage to the main audience area, and it's just easy to move around in general. You can dip your head out of the obviously the backstage area and see what's going on stage, you know.
yeah.
So
Let's dive into some of these results now. I don't think they posted up um all of the results like they usually do, but I think I've got the reels from most of the overall winners at least.
I can
And
tell you off the top of my head, every single winner of the men's division is a contender.
Yeah.
yes,
In the women's divisions, but Bikini was super, super strong. It's Queensland. Bikini's always crazy strong.
yeah.
Outside of that, good figure girl. I don't know if there was a wellness contender. Like it was relatively deep, but I know there was a contender. Women's physique. I think the front runners are probably coming from Vic show, but yeah, it'd be interesting to go through it again.
So this men's physique lineup was stacked.
But the screen is hell like small. Is that to you as well, Scotty?
I think because is it? Let
It's
me
small to me, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
let
know.
me see what I can work out here. Hold on. Let's try that again.
I do feel like I was surprised of how many bikini girls there was. I mean, I didn't expect four divisions.
Is that
That's
better?
better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't expect four divisions. I thought that was absurd.
I mean,
Yeah, it was
I
a big show.
half expected it with Queensland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this men's physique lineup was I was surprised that there was only one open men's physique lineup.
Yeah.
But the winner was definitely deserving. How did he look in person, Scott?
Yeah, super impressive. Bo's been in the mix plenty of times before. He lost Ash in season B last year by 1 point.
All that. Yeah.
So he's one of Logan Robson's clients. He always brings it. He's super spectacular, like just balanced, dense, muscular, round. He's got it all. And the top three was super, super competitive. Like Sol came third, and he's a
His
multiple time
fractions
state
amazing.
and I think national champion. He's always in the mix and been close to pro cards in the past. He came third, so it just sort of goes to show the depth of the lineup. I really like the guy who came second as well. I can't remember his name, but he had a very tight waist and a really nice taper. But yeah, look, Bo's definitely a contender. Yeah, all three of them could probably win their high classes at nationals because it was funny looking at them lined up. Bo was the tallest, and you had a medium height guy, and then you had Sol, who's traditionally a short guy. That was the top three. I could honestly see all of them contending or taking a national title in their
Yeah,
high
for
classes.
sure.
It was really high quality show.
Sol
Yeah.
looked like he added some serious size since the last time I seen him up there.
Yeah, I thought he was thicker through the chest in particular. I thought he looked great.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. His midsection always looks great. What do you think moved him out of the center? Because I know he was in the center for most of it and he got pushed out. What do you think the difference was between the top three?
Taper in Sol's case, he doesn't have just naturally super broad clavicles. He's got great shoulder development. He's got great abdominal development. He just doesn't have the structural taper of a Bo or the guy who came second. I would say that is it. And I think the men's physique division is emphasizing a little bit more taper these days with Ryan Terry sort of at the top of the sport.
Yeah.
So I honestly think it was that at the end of the day.
Yeah, but either way, it's going to be a stacked lineup. We've seen some good guys the rest of
I
the
hope there's
season.
a few classes because I think last year there was beginning of the year there was two, hey?
Yeah,
Two
I
classes
think
for
so.
nationals. So I hope there's a little bit more, like maybe three, because I think we had three season B last year when Ash took it out, I believe. So
Yeah, I would imagine they'll get the numbers to go up to three. Like we had a fair bit in Vix, and I'm sure the Sydney's are traditionally a really big men's physique division. So
yes.
they'll hopefully get it to three.
Was it your guy who won last weekend?
In
Tim.
WA, yeah, Tim. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's another one there.
Yeah. Look, I think Tim's got aspects of his physique which can beat these guys. Like in terms of he's got the smallest waist on stage. He's going to have the really, really crazy taper. I think Tim will outshape these guys.
Yeah,
He will either match or beat them in conditioning. Tim's a front runner, obviously, being one of my guys,
obviously.
but also he is giving away density to Bo. Like the Bo's a big, big dude. Like I don't know what he weighs, but he looked like he weighs 100 kilos. Like he's a big dude.
Yeah. It's definitely some pro level muscle there.
Yeah.
You say he's tall as well?
What was that? Sorry, Josh.
Did you say he's tall as well?
He's relatively tall. Yeah, he's not. He wouldn't be 6 foot or anything like that, but
Okay.
he's probably just under 180 centimeters. He's a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he smashed his overall trophy when he came out. First person I've ever seen smash an overall trophy.
Really?
You're kidding.
Logan accidentally knocked it out of his hands and it
No,
hit the dirt and it smashed.
Oh,
It was quite an upsetting scene, actually.
I
oh
bet.
my God.
I think they're going to get him a replacement one.
I was gonna say, surely.
Jesus.
Wow. Fuck.
Yeah, poor
Fuck.
guy. He was showing Logan, and Logan, I think, went to get it and he like knocked it out of his hands and onto the concrete and it just smashed. And I was standing right there, and Logan was just like, "Oh
Oh,
my God, I'm
man.
an idiot." It was pretty funny.
Oh,
Um, Classic physique.
I like this guy a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Got him.
he reminds me of what's his name? I can't remember his actual. I think his name is Joseph J. Swole. He
Yeah.
reminds me of him a little bit, just being like a shorter guy as well, and like very similar muscle bellies as well. But I think one thing that stood out to me when watching the stream as well. I mean, like we said, like it washed out a lot of people generally anyway. But when he
Yeah.
stood on stage, I was pretty impressed because from the front mainly, when he hit all of his shots, you could see how lean he was. You know.
Yeah.
From the back, he definitely still needs to be leaner, but I think his front was in a really good spot for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Scotty.
was at him and Drew who won the tall class there.
Yeah.
And you could make an argument for both guys. Like James is a little bit more compact, but he's got those crazy round muscle bellies. And I do think he was in slightly better condition than Drew. But Drew's the taller guy, broader frame, great taper. It was an interesting battle. But I think James was a pretty much a consensus winner.
Yeah.
Um,
I think so. I think Drew's back lets him down. He seems like he has a really good lower body, but when he turns around, it's just it's just not as impressive. I don't know what it is. Like he has lats, obviously. But I don't know if it's like a thickness thing or whatever it is. Like when he goes into a back double, especially, it just seems, a little bit thinner there than the lower, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Look, James is really, really complete. The
Yeah.
only thing he lacks is some upper body width, but he's got absolutely everything else. And I don't think anyone's condition was done justice. Like, you
Yeah.
see him and Drew off the stage, both of them look like they were almost bang on the money. Like there wasn't much conditioning
Yeah.
to improve on. They were really, really tight. You can't see it in this video. Like I'm looking at it, and that's not the guy I saw
No.
backstage and posing for photos and stuff like that. It is the guy I saw on stage under those lighting conditions, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
I don't think any of these videos will do the guys true justice as good as they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, for sure.
Were there any other standouts in the classic lineup?
The guy that came second to Drew in the tall class, really impressed me. I really liked him. I can't remember his name. I thought it was a really, really close battle between those two. And I didn't think Drew was lucky to get through it. I thought he deserved it, but I thought it was one of those coin flip decisions because the other guy, again, crazy taper, a beautiful sort of core, like super, super small, super defined core.
Yeah.
So he was right in the mix as well.
Yeah.
I want to touch on someone as well to get your opinion on because I haven't messaged you about him. But obviously, going into the show, I think it was almost, I mean, like throughout Australia, I think everyone kind of had Kevin DeHaan as a front runner for this show.
Mm.
And I think he ended up being pushed out to third or fourth in the first timers. Do you like what was your impressions on that, and what did you think he looked like in real life? In terms of maybe what we saw on social media beforehand.
Yeah, look, he looked to me like by far the most impressive physique on stage if
Yeah.
you're judging by the bodybuilding criteria. Like he looked like a bodybuilder amongst classic guys. Like he looked like he had 10 kilos on everyone. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I was watching it just thinking, how the hell did this guy make weight? He's absolutely enormous. But yeah, he just looked a bit bodybuilderish. Like it's just the reality of that classic division is you have to bring more than size and proportion. There has to be a flow and an aesthetic quality in order to get you over the line.
Yeah.
He probably poses a bit like a bodybuilder as well. Like if he could, manipulate his poses and change his angles, maybe he could convince you that he's a little bit more classic than what he is. But I think he would acknowledge that his future's in bodybuilding. Like he's put on a lot of size in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
He's probably still got a fair bit more growing in him, and he's got a very impressive frame that looks like he can carry even more muscle again. So, yeah, look, I was very, very excited to see Kevin. I've been following Kevin's prep, and I think he's an incredibly impressive physique. But when he stood on stage with the guys that have an even more superior structure and smaller waists and smaller joints and things like that, he just looked like a bodybuilder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
I'm
it looked like to me.
not taking anything away from his physique at all because he's definitely got a solid amount of muscle there. But it's definitely one of those cases where just because you make the weight cap doesn't mean you're a classic guy. And we see it every season. That people it's like with wellness too. People get married to being in a certain category and there's no changing their mind.
Well,
So
I remember you and me, Jordy, having this conversation at Nationals last year about Tom, and we said
yeah,
that if Tom like outgrows the weight cap, like it is what it is, you know. Like
yeah,
you either you finish and you wipe your hands of it if you don't want to do any further than classic, or
yeah.
you let your body do what it wants to do and grow, you know.
And look, from my point of view, and I think we've agreed on this, Jay, like Josh, if it ever got to the point where I was like maxing out my weight cap, I'd just make the jump because I love competing.
Yeah,
Like I'm not doing this because I feel like I'm the most classic guy and I'm going to be a classic Mr. Olympia. I love competing. I love putting on size. I love seeing how far I can take my physique. So if it ever came to that day where I'm like pushing the weight cap as an amateur, as a pro, and the result still isn't coming,
yeah,
I'm not going to sit around and wait and think anything's going to change.
yeah,
But I don't know. Again, we see it every season where, like I said, even with wellness, there'll be girls up there that don't quite have enough muscle for the category, but are up there and they probably would have been better doing bikini. And they just hang on because they like the idea of being a wellness girl. And maybe that's because in the off season they feel like their glutes and their legs are so full and it looks more wellness in the off season. But then when you get to the reality of you've lost 15 or 20 kilos in a prep and now you actually see the amount of muscle you do have there, you don't quite fit the category anymore.
yeah,
So
Yeah, I think most competitors are wired like you, Geordie. Like I've got a few competitors to the point where they've outgrown their division, like whether it's bikini girls or whatever. And if they're real competitors, they really struggle with downsizing or holding back in the off season because everyone wants to progress. Like we all got in it through a love of training and a love of building muscle and a love of being able to manipulate and change our bodies and things like that. And if you can no longer do that and you're just holding ground, or even the worst one is downsize,
yeah,
it's a very frustrating process for someone who's wired like a true competitor. I think
yeah,
it's always in your best interest to just move up.
I think that's why I struggle as well. Seeing guys like, I mean, Urs is a perfect example at the highest level. Like he's getting rewarded, but only so much, and he's struggling to hit his cap at all of these shows now. It's like, well, where do you move from there? Like, do you keep
How
limiting your?
far do you think Urs can take it in classic?
Well, I don't know any further, because it's a hard one. Because if he's at the top of his weight cap now, he always comes in bang on the money conditioning, like never misses. Like he's probably as lean as he probably could really get. It, it's
Yeah,
hard. Like, and he's only what, 26, 27? Right, I think less than that. I think he's 20, yeah,
yeah.
25, 26.
Like that's a wild look. But I do feel like he loses muscle to make the weight cut,
Yeah.
you know?
But in the off season, he's got peeled glutes and like
We look at him here, like that's a
yeah,
wild physique. That's
yeah,
that's nuts. If that makes it to the Olympia stage in a classic lineup, you're like, okay, we're shaking things up here. But the fact is he's probably like 260, 270 pounds there. And
probably.
he
Yeah.
can't bring that to the stage.
It'd be really interesting to see someone like that, in that condition, stand on an open bodybuilding stage. So I'm a little bit skeptical. Like, I think I think he's a fair way off being an open guy.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like, yeah, he really is stuck in between.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, I don't know. Who does he work with? He works with Stefan, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Stefan knows his stuff. I'm sure he
Like
can
his glutes
do all the
aren't far
tricks.
from being in here.
Not far at all.
No.
Like it's not like he's out of shape.
No. That's like 4 weeks out conditioning.
It is. Yeah, it
And
is.
you look at that
Yeah,
and
it's a tough one. It's hard, but yeah,
yeah, it's a hard one.
it is for sure.
I'm glad it's a problem I don't have to worry about.
You and me both.
Not yet.
Not yet. Where are we? Where are we? All right, bodybuilding. Sammy Gardner back-to-back wins. How do you
Man,
look?
this was the best state bodybuilding overall I think I've ever seen. Like,
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that lightly. I was mesmerized by this overall. It was really like there were four super high quality guys. Riggsy, what's his name? The guy that won the under 80s. God, I've seen this bloke compete for years.
Yeah.
He's awesome. One of the densest, most muscular, most conditioned guy up there. He was probably fourth in this overall. He's good enough to be an overall winner in other years. There he is. You can sort of see him at the front there. Ariel Dencio, I thought it was really between him and Sam, and I was just going back and forth, wondering which one would win. Ariel is the denser, bigger man, but I think Sam he was just so polished and just he's really missing nothing. And obviously Liam Tui, who is absolutely enormous and made everyone else look small. He was on stage at 111 kilos, and he's not super tall, Liam. Like he's 5'9", 5'10". So he was by far the biggest guy up there. Had he been a fraction tighter, he probably would have taken it. But man, it was an unbelievable overall, and they moved him around and made him work, and it was super exciting. The crowd was going nuts during that, and the local boy took it out with Sam, and it was a deserved win, but you could easily make an argument for Ariel, I think.
Yeah. Well, that was Ariel's first show back in the IFBB at least for 5 years.
When Brad Dwight won the card.
Yeah. That's about 5 years ago. He looked like he's put on some decent muscle in that time.
He's so thick.
Like I remember his back lat spread wasn't the greatest shot a few years ago, but on the weekend that was night and day different.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was super impressive, super impressive. All the guys were like, it was awesome. Like, even to win their classes, they had to beat some real quality guys. This was a deep bodybuilding lineup.
Yeah, probably the best we've seen all season.
Yeah,
I think Nationals bodybuilding is going to be really good. I think we talked about this last week as well. It's just like, I think this is probably like the best like in terms of a Nationals lineup as well. I think this is going to be like some of the best open bodybuilding we've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
the heavyweight class in particular is going to be wild, absolutely wild. Because we got Ebby, Rygo, and now we got Ariel in the mix. So who knows who's going to come out of Sydney? But like that is a top three, is probably as good as it gets.
I loved last year when I think it was Sam, Rago, and I can't remember the other guy's name. But they brought the three of them out. I think it was season A last year, and they put them through like 4 or 5 rounds. Like Brett and Damo put them through it. Like it was crazy. I think they were all so close. It was just who faded, and who didn't. And obviously Rago came out on the top of that Nationals.
I love it when that happens. Like that to me, that's like a competitive aspect of competitive bodybuilding. We'll pose you till you fade or you break, and we'll give it to the other guy. Like I love that shit.
Love that shit.
So Jordy loves it because he knows he can outpose anyone.
Well, see, I'm pissed off after the VIX because my posing for what I know it can be should have been a lot better. And I think I gave away or let others get closer than they should have on certain shots. So since the VIX show, I've been hammering down on like my posing and vacuums to make sure that I can slam the door shut on the poses that I own and just make sure it's night and day, because I've watched the VIX show back now every day during cardio since that, and like I'm nitpicking like wild, and I'm just looking at it, I'm like, it frustrates me that I made those mistakes on those poses.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because Josh and I have discussed it. Like, we're obviously fans of your physique and fans of the classic division. I'm serious when I say that. And we have both said, that if it's close, Jordy's going to win, like, because on presentation, and that's a massive compliment. I
Yeah.
won shows on presentation back in the day.
Yeah.
Josh is a very good presenter himself. It's all the little things, man. Like they all add up, and it's part of it. Like you can take your physique and elevate it with amazing presentation, and those
Yeah.
that put the time and effort in it to do so have the opportunity to beat people of a similar standard, even in some cases of a slightly better standard, if their presentation is that much superior. So
Yeah.
I love it. I love seeing competitors like that.
This is where it frustrates me with other competitors that quite obviously have such a strong physique, and then you see them pose and they can't hit a quarter turn.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you've massively, massively let yourself down for something that you should have been doing throughout your prep regardless, and you should be doing in your off season regardless. For it to be something that's so in your control to let go of, and now that's the reason why you've lost or you've dropped a place or lost a shot. It baffles me that, they'll put so much, and we said this on the first episode, that people will put so much emphasis on an amazing routine that at the end of the day doesn't get judged. It makes no difference whatsoever. As much as they will say that if it's close, we'll look at the posing routine. I don't think there's been a time since I've been going to an IFBB show in the past 7 or 8 years that it's come down to someone's posing routine.
Well,
Yeah.
firstly, I don't like these underhanded shots you're taking at Ryan Underwood here, but
No. Love you, Ryan.
I am curious as to how you go about your posing practice. Like I had a methodology when I was competing of how I would go about it. Do you drill like multiple rounds? Do you drill posing like it's a posing workout in a way to build up posing endurance?
I wouldn't say I drill it, but it's definitely done daily. Whether that's fasted in the morning or post-workout, it's definitely hit daily and like reviewed daily. Like I'll watch it back. So I'm not just filming it just because I think I look good or whatever. Like I want to make sure that where my glutes in, was I, to me, it felt like it was in, were they actually in? Did I blow all the air out of my stomach and shit like that? The one thing I practiced the least would be my routine. Like
Yeah.
once I've got my routine down, I think I practiced it like twice. And one of those times was on the side of stage before I went out. So it's just, look, and I've got the benefit of when me and Mike do our check-ins, weekly, especially in prep when they're in person, I've got the benefit of Mike tweaking my poses as we go, but more so to be anything than me doing it consistently through the off season. You know what I mean? So then by the time it gets to prep, I'm pretty comfortable getting into a shot because it's only going to get easier.
Yeah.
But it's something that's worked on consistently. More so in the last few weeks has been, I'd say I'm burying it because I want that posing fitness to be like spot on. And, being able to hold my vacuum for 20, 30 seconds and not breathing through my stomach. So it hasn't been so much of my posing practice. It's been hitting my weaker shots and making sure I can hold them. And like we were saying before about someone fading, I want to make sure I'm not the guy that's fading in a pose. I don't want to have to reset 3 times to hold my front double.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How long do you pose for? Because I'm a big believer of quality over quantity. Like
Yes.
I know people that will say, "Oh, I did 45 minutes of posing." Man, why are you doing 45 minutes of posing? You're standing on stage for 15 minutes tops. I was a believer that I would emulate stage conditions when I would do posing practice. So I would start my posing practice by holding my front relaxed for about a minute to 2 minutes and just hold it and be happy about holding it and smile and do stuff like that. And then I would go through the mandatories and I would not take a break. I wouldn't admire my work. I would transition as if I was transitioning on stage. And if I would get gassed, I would just keep going because I was like, if you get gassed on stage, you don't get to stop. And I would just, in my head, I was emulating stage conditions to the point where I would finish a round and I would stand and hold my front relaxed pose for 30 seconds. And I'd keep my legs on and my waist tight, my lats flared. And then I would imagine myself getting called, moved into the center of a call out. And then I'd do it again. And then I'd do it again. And then I was done. I was like, that's it. I'm done. But I would never take a break. I would never do anything because I wanted to emulate stage conditions with my posing because a lot of people will hit a front double bicep, admire their work, take a couple of deep breaths.
Yep.
Oh, all right,
Yep.
all right, get my feet set. All right, now we're going to this side
Well,
chest or whatever
I
it
don't know
is. And
about you guys.
that
Like
doesn't translate.
when I get off stage, I'm smoked. I'm so sore from flexing as hard as I possibly can. So if someone's telling me that they're posing for 45 minutes every day,
Yeah.
how? What are you
Yeah.
doing in that 45 minutes? Because I wouldn't be able to handle it
No.
doing
It's a lot.
45 minutes of solid posing in stage conditions. You know what I mean? And you're always gonna pose harder on stage. I understand that, but you should be trying to pose as close to that um, as you can. But I can't, 15 minutes and I'm pretty much done.
Yeah.
That's
That's
all you need.
I'll hit 2 rounds and then I'll do my vacuum training and then I'll hit my vacuum shots again. So any shots that I hit a vacuum on, and that's pretty much it.
Love it. I think there's good advice in there for those that are watching.
Agreed. So bodybuilding we were wrapped with.
We
We'll
were
move
very
into
wrapped with it, yeah.
the women's.
Into my wheelhouse. Let's
In
go.
the Scotty's element. So figure, there was a few girls in figure.
Yeah, it was good. And this winner here was fantastic. Yeah, beautiful balance, beautiful shape. She'll probably be in the mix at nationals for sure. Like the top three in that open class were pretty damn good. So what was it, Victoria, is it? Yeah. So she's sorry, Jessica, excuse me. Yeah, looked absolutely fantastic. I don't know if she could be a tiny bit tighter. She might be able to get a tiny bit tighter, but again, it could just be the lighting conditions. She was in pretty good nick and beautiful shape.
Yeah, cool.
Then we've got physique. Amanda, is it?
Yeah, Amanda's lovely. Again, just a fantastic, polished, balanced, proportionate, well-conditioned physique. Like there were bigger girls. I think there were, I don't know if there was actually a more conditioned girl. I think she probably brought the best conditioning on that stage.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what got her over the line. She's not huge, but beautifully put together.
Before I forget, the girl who I can't remember if she won the VIX physique or she placed, but she won her pro card over in the UK on the weekend.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, I don't remember her name, but shout out to her.
I should be able to tell you. I was speaking to her coach, Scotty Hipwell, up in Queensland. Not only did she win her qualification, she went on to play second in the pro show the next day. So she only just missed out on going to the Olympia. It was the last possible qualifier for the Olympia. She only just missed out on it. So Christy Graham.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So shout out to Christy because that's amazing result for her, especially going overseas and doing it.
UK show's always so stacked as well.
Yeah, exactly right.
I think it was like 15 physique girls in it. Like she took out a good lineup. But I mean, have a look at her. Like she's pretty spectacular there.
Yeah.
That condition looks pretty damn spot on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Amazing. Love that. Love seeing the Aussies kicking ass overseas. Do we know how many people are doing the amateur O?
What do you mean in general from Australia?
Australia, yeah.
I know Melissa Pierre's doing it. Maya's doing it. I think Liam Tui is actually doing it.
Liam's doing it. Yep.
Pretty sure Sammy Gardner's doing it as well.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I think there's quite a big group going over.
Beautiful.
So, which is good.
And we've got overall figure. We've done that. Physique.
Wellness.
What was wellness like, Scotty?
Wellness was good. But I mean, in all fairness, I don't think there was a pro card contender up there.
Yeah.
Heather's great. She won it on, the tiny waist and the good sort of glute to waist ratio and stuff like that, and brought very good conditioning to the stage. But to compete against the best wellness girls, she's probably going to need a little bit more size. Josh and I had a girl in this one, Nikita Taylor, who didn't hit the conditioning mark, but from a density and size standpoint, she's big for a pro. So we're going to see what we can do in the next couple of weeks. She was probably the only one on that stage that had the pro density, but we didn't get the conditioning to the level it needed to be to take out Heather. So absolutely deserving winner. Hopefully she does do national. She'll be, in the mix. But yeah, probably a little bit more density if she wants to take out the card, I would imagine.
How far off do you think your girl is?
Tough, man. It's been a tough prep for us.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we don't actually want to publicly announce the calories and the expenditure target she's on right now. We feel like we could possibly be sued for negligence. But she is working really, really hard, and we're hoping to take off a couple of kilos before nationals.
I think if she's anywhere near good enough condition, I would say I don't even think she needs to be bang on the money. I think she's very much in the mix. I think she could hurt a lot of people's feelings for sure.
I agree.
Now, this is Scotty's real wheelhouse here.
Cynthia is spectacular, man. Cynthia, is a major contender, if not a favorite, a major contender for the pro card.
Yeah.
She's got it all. She's got it all. Okay, it's very hard to fault. Structurally, she's put together beautifully. The development is bang on. The condition, despite what you're seeing in these videos, was absolutely perfect. She had a really nice tight tie-in. Presentation's great. She works with Shanae, and they've absolutely killed it since they've been working together. The last time she was on stage, she lost out on the pro card by 1 point to Morgan. This time she takes the stage and she, in my eyes, dominated a Queensland show full of incredibly high caliber girls. So yeah, in all fairness to everyone else, and look, I had some really good competitors up there. I didn't think it was close in her division or the overall. I thought she smoked it.
Damn.
Yeah, Cynthia's legit.
Yeah, I had her for this show going in. Obviously you can't knock someone who's been in an overall at a nationals, like they're obviously going to be they're not going to come back slacking, So I expected her to be back in full force and at a very good state. I think
especially if you've been that close the last time you were out, you're not going to put a foot wrong.
No.
So, Scotty, for us lesser intelligent viewers of the bikini category, give a brief rundown of what a bikini winner or a pro card winner, let's say, for this season will have over the rest of the category, the rest of the girls. Because for those like me, and I'm sure there's many other guys out there, that we look at the bikini lineup and we're like, okay, you all look the same. Besides condition on a few girls where you can really pick it, the rest of them all look amazing. So when I'm looking at a lineup of, let's say, the first call out 5 or 6 girls, what's going to differentiate the girl in the middle from the girl that's out on either side?
Well, it is like every other division where it's not any one thing, it's kind of everything. So it's the girl that has it all. So I think you mentioned this in a previous episode where it is the most genetic division of all. And I believe it is because you can only manipulate your shape so much with muscle size because at some point you just outgrow the division. So it is very much about proportions. And a lot of that is dictated by your bone structure. So you might see a girl that has lesser muscular development, but has a more impressive shape just due to the fact that she's got nice wide clavicles, a small waist, and relatively small hips, and reasonably long legs in proportion to her torso, and all this sort of stuff. And that can carry her over the line. But ultimately, when we get to the national level in Australia, the competitive standard's super, super high. Like I think we've got one of the deepest, most talented amateur bikini pools in the world. And that's why we see so many girls go overseas and do so well in international pro qualifiers and take out pro cards over there because there's just that many pro-worthy girls here in Australia. So the girl that wins it is going to have the beautiful bone structure. She's going to have the perfect level of development in terms of, big glutes, adequate thigh size, because you do need some development in the quads and the hamstrings to balance everything out. You need reasonably developed shoulders and a natural taper without being overly bulky. And then the conditioning, again, is largely a genetic thing because you need to bring an even level of conditioning head to toe. And that's what catches a lot of girls out. If you're, really, really sort of like that natural sort of pear shape where you store the vast majority of body fat on your lower body, sometimes to get that glute hamstring tie-in, you have to be absolutely shredded above the waist, and then you get penalized for that. So it's going to be even and appropriate conditioning from head to toe, great development, great structure, and then the presentation can again bring you over the line in the bikini
Yeah.
division.
And how do you manage? You're pretty spot on with bringing your girls in a pretty perfect bikini condition. How how does one manage that? Because it like you were saying, it comes down to it being level across the whole physique. So how do you go about, all right, we need to lose a little bit on the glute hamstring tie-in here without bringing in your shoulders being too capped or anything else?
Yeah, look, sometimes you can't, Jordy. So like the reality is I bring them in what I think is the most appropriate condition for them. So sometimes that means sacrificing a little bit of lower body conditioning in order to prevent their upper body from being incredibly striated and vascular, because that's just the way they distribute body fat. And outside of, destroying them hormonally with anti-estrogens or something like that, there's just no way to manipulate and spot reduce that sort of stuff. So if the girls that you see that I put on stage in amazing condition or perfect bikini condition are the ones that have that natural body fat distribution, and can attain that condition. I've put some girls up there that are a little bit too hard in the upper body in order to get that glute hamstring tie-in, and I will generally go in that direction rather than be too soft, because I really feel that the glute hamstring tie-in is sort of the main criteria that the judges use to assess the level of conditioning they like. And the majority of judges will forgive a little bit of extra conditioning in the upper body if that glute hamstring tie-in's perfect. So yeah, it's just a case of getting the conditioning as good as you possibly can for that particular individual and the way they distribute their body fat. I was having this conversation with another coach up there, and I was saying for the majority of girls, especially if they're natural, you just get them as lean as you possibly can. Like I know we talk about the bikini division, it's you don't come in too hard, all that sort of stuff. It's rarely a concern. It's rarely a concern. For most female athletes, a glute hamstring tie-in is a very unhealthy level of body fat that they have to really kill themselves to get to. Like
Yeah.
it's incredibly impressive, in particular for a natural athlete to be able to attain that. So most of the time, man, I'm starving them and just getting them as shredded as I can.
I
Yeah.
think like Mike brought up a good point after the weekend as well, because I think there was like quite a few posts going around about what you were talking about with the wellness
Yes.
division, Jordan, with like being like, if you don't have a glute hamstring tie-in, you're not lean enough. But sometimes it's not like it is the case, but it isn't the case. It might
Yeah.
just be a case of muscle mass there as
Yeah.
well. But
Muscle.
it's like,
Yeah.
you've had girls and you've had girls where it's just like they, they're as lean as they can possibly get in most areas, but the muscle just isn't there. So that, that conditioning just isn't going to show through as much. That muscle is just not going to be, pushing against the skin and separating where it needs to be, as much as it would be if they had
Look,
adequate muscle
the
mass
only
there.
way you're going to find that out is by getting that level of lean. Like we all know, you only know how much muscle you have once you're down to that level. And we are never spot on with how much we think we have. We always think we have more muscle than what we do. And it's a rude awakening every time. But like, I'm between 15 to 20 kilos down on what I was in the off season.
Yeah,
So I'm not going to find out what muscle I have put on until I get to this point here.
of
Uh,
course.
so yeah, Mike brought up a great point that it may not be a condition thing. There's a chance you probably got as conditioned as you could have been and
Yeah.
still not achieved that glute ham tie-in, but that's just a development issue that's going to take time. That's all it is.
I think for a lot of
100%
guys
agree.
as well.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
So
Shall we move into some Olympia predictions?
yeah, I want to hear Scotty's.
Yeah, all right, let's do it.
Um,
Well, I have Derek in first place.
He's
I
ready.
think Derek has improved quite significantly since last year. And while I don't necessarily agree that Derek should have won it last year, I thought Hardy should have taken it personally. I think the improvements Hardy can make are not of the same standard as what
Yes.
Derek can make. So I expect a new and all-time best Derek Lunsford, and I think that puts him in first place. Hardy does look pretty damn serious, though. He, in my opinion, comfortably handled Samson at both Arnold Classics earlier this year. I think we sort of forget how good he is, so I've got Hardy in second place.
Yeah.
Samson and Andrew is my debate for third and fourth. Like a lot of people, I am pushing Nick Walker back this year. Well, not really pushing him back. He didn't compete last year, but the year prior, he's in third behind the two shorter guys. But I think Samson and Andrew will take that third and the fourth spot. I'll give Samson third and Andrew fourth, just based on what I've seen of both of them in the past. I think that they both have the same chink in their armor in terms of conditioning through the glutes and the hamstrings. I know everyone talks about, like they've only come in, or like Andrew's only come in at a certain percentage, just good enough to win the Texas show. Yeah, I think 90% of the time that people say that, it's just an excuse. And they tried to come
I
in
call
as,
bullshit.
yeah, they tried to come in as absolutely awesome as they could, and they
Yeah.
just missed the mark. And they'll say, "Oh, we'll get it for the Olympia." Um, in fifth place, I'd probably still put Nick Walker,
Yeah.
just because of his muscle mass. Like I'm not a Nick fan, but at the
Really.
same time, he hits a side chest, and I'm like, that's the best side chest in the world. And then he hits a rear double bicep, I'm like, that might be the best rear double bicep in the world. And like it's just one of those things where you're like, the aesthetics and the flow isn't there, but it just works in some of those mandatory poses. And if you got the best side chest and the best rear double bi, and a good front double bi,
No,
and
no.
all that sort of stuff, it's just hard to push him any lower than that.
And I think
Um,
I think Nick's one of those guys where let's regardless of his lack of shape, let's say that if any of those guys in the top four
Yeah.
that were stated leave the door open a touch on conditioning, that's where he catches up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because head to toe, front to back, he's going to be peeled. Like you turn him around on that back double and the details out the door. Shots
Yeah.
like his front lat spread, okay, yeah, he's not going to have the best front lat spread. We'll take that one from him. But the rest of the shots, detail wise, he'll probably have most covered detail wise.
I think he's the shots that he wins. I think the shots that he wins are so dominating as well. Like
Yeah.
I'm having him a hard time. I'm having him a hard time putting him in fourth because, like, I think I said last week as well. Like, he convinces me all the time that he's going to win the Olympia. And like he does the job of it.
Yeah, he's
So
good at that. I'm I I think Hardy slips this year. I think he's at his glass ceiling. Um, so for me, it's one of two cases with Hardy. He either replicates what he brought to the Arnolds, which was pretty much perfect, or he's worse.
yeah,
And that's where I think Samson gets him this year. I don't think Samson has made enough of an improvement to knock Derek, but that's just because Derek's the current champ.
yeah,
Um, I hate the whole you have to knock out the champ bullshit, but I feel like there is a part of that, and I can't see them quite hot potatoing the title around unless Samson comes in and like he blows the roof off this place and his condition is so far improved on last year that he's undeniable because front to back shots wise, if he's losing a shot, it's not by a lot. So
yeah. It's
I
hard.
don't know.
Hard to
Yeah,
tell.
look, I kind of feel like the have to knock out the champ thing is fallen to the wayside in recent
Yeah.
years. I think that definitely used to be the case. I don't know that it is the case. I don't think Derek knocked out Hardy. I
Yeah.
think he was just slightly superior. I've even heard rumors, and this is not from Tony Doherty, but from other people that say, look, Jake Wood likes the Olympia to be exciting. Like his directive is, if it's the best guy, give it to the best guy, or it's the best girl, give it to the best girl. And we've seen a lot of turnover in every class, barring the classic.
Yes.
There's been physique division seems to change every single year, men's physique. Classic, obviously, Bumstead's just got a stranglehold on that title, so he's a hard man to knock off, and it hasn't been close. But the Mr. Olympia itself has been chopping and changing hands fairly regularly. So I don't know. I think the best man will win, and man, I'm super super excited about this Olympia, like everyone else. And
What
we
do you
have
think Derek had over Hardy last year?
the conditioning from the back primarily, and probably taper.
Yeah.
But for me, Yeah, I thought Hardy won that. I thought his density and conditioning from the front was as superior to in terms of the advantage he held over Derek as what Derek had from the back. I felt like Hardy sort of there's things in Derek's physique that I don't like. Like I don't like his side leg, like which is a weird thing to pick on. But I'm just like there's just not the density in that side leg pose that I see in that, for example, that horse leg that Samson's got there. Um, so yeah, there's little chinks in his armor, either the lack of striations through his chest, but absolutely overwhelming from the back, like just mind blowing.
It doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't make sense. That was the best back in the world. It's significantly better this year. How does that happen?
Oh,
Yeah. I
hell.
think he's going to be, yeah, I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with this year.
Yeah,
What would Derek have to slip up on to lose this?
Conditions.
I don't know. I don't think he will slip up either. Look at his coach. Look at his track record in recent years, in particular. Look at his rate of improvement. I look at his conditioning. You know, this far out, I would be shocked if he missed the mark from a conditioning perspective. I think he's brought up, you know, every body part across the board, and he already had a beautiful balanced physique. So I don't think it's anything that Derek can do. I think the risk, the only way Derek loses is if Andrew and Samson come in on the money. Like I don't know that Hardy can beat him anymore,
Yeah.
because they're just maybe a little too similar in stature and dimensions. But Samson and Andrew, I feel like could potentially overwhelm him. Like if Samson comes in with that level of back detail, game over.
Does Andrew have enough from the back to be able to stand next to Samson and Hardy and Derek?
Look again, Andrew. Look, I mean, I could pick a flaw in any bodybuilder on this planet, and Andrew's flaw is probably the hamstring density, maybe even the adductors in the back pose, and the level of conditioning through his glutes and his hamstrings. But no one has that upper body from the front, and that core, and that unbelievable level of separation and detail through that upper body, or just in the front in general. Like that to me is possibly the most impressive standing front relax there is.
I said it last week and I'll say it again. If I looked like that, I'd never wear anything other than my posing trunks.
I said this as well. If there was a human being on the earth that I could look like, it would be Andrew Jacked.
Oh man.
Like it's spectacular.
You,
So
you
he
think,
brings something different to the stage, and I think if he's in excellent condition, comparable condition as is Samson, I feel like the two tall guys in the same call out might just make Hardy and Derek look small.
Yeah, this is where it matters who they have in that call out
Mm.
because it changes everything. Like if Nick was in that call out last year, I think things would have fallen a little bit differently.
yeah, I
When,
think that
when
seems to be the
Derek,
general consensus. Like if Nick was there last year, I think he had the best of what, Hardy and Derek didn't have and potentially could have taken it over. So
Yeah, it's really interesting. Look, I mean, I kind of feel like if there's a direction the IFBB is going, it's a little bit more aesthetic. Like I feel like Tyler's got a pretty heavy influence on the judging, and I feel like he is a fan of the small waist and the detailed core and just things like that. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, Samson and Andrew can bring that, plus come in close to 300 pounds at 6 foot tall. And that's a pretty unbelievably formidable bodybuilding package. Like, this is
yeah,
wild, man. Like, it's absolutely wild. Tell me the 90s are
like
the
if I
heyday.
had my
Come
pick and
on.
I was the judge, I'm putting Samson and Andrew are my top two.
So am I. So am I. That
Yeah.
would be my preference.
Yes, that's where my heart is, but I don't think the judges are the same this year.
And I simply don't trust him to bring the condition. That's the reason.
Yes,
I like if Samson
maybe
and
trust
Andrew
them.
rock up with the condition of Derek and Hardy, I think they
That's
are one
Gates.
and two, but I just don't think they have. I honestly don't know that they have the genetic ability. Like there is a genetic component to conditioning, and I don't
Samson
know
does
that their
look
coaches
like
have the skill set.
Samson does look like he is getting, well, his skin looks like it's thinner. Like, look at that photo there, and his triceps feathered.
Good
That's
to see.
wild. So I think we will see a more conditioned Samson this year. is it going to be conditioned enough to make the jumps that he needs? Like his lats are feathering here. His glutes look tight. Will he ever have striated glutes like Derek? I don't think so.
No.
So I'm not going to hold my breath. But the skin's looking thinner. Uh, it might also be a case of not tanning up as much for Samson and Andrew.
Yeah.
Like they
It
make,
could also be a case of just don't trust what you see on Instagram.
yeah, I hate it. I hate it. We fall into it every time. And they always let me down.
Yeah.
I'm blue balled every time. Like it was the same with Hunter. Like
Yeah.
putting those
Yeah.
photos up, and I'm like, he's blowing the roof off this place, and he gets there, and look, it would probably was the stage lighting and everything else because he looked improved, but it
Yeah.
wasn't what those beautifully edited photos were.
No. I think Hunter, like, yeah, you look at Hunter like posing, doing his check-in photos and stuff, and like something like his torn chest, it doesn't look so bad
And
in
then you
those
see him on
photos,
stage, and
but like, yeah, when he goes on stage, it just looks so bad. Like I don't know what it is. Like it sticks out. You can't ignore it, you know? And
yeah.
I think that hurts him a lot.
All right, Scotty, who you got in sixth?
Brandon. We all forget
Wow.
about Brandon. But man, Brandon only loses to the absolute best in the world. He beats everyone else. Yeah, like if you do the old tiers of bodybuilding, you look at who's above him, that's the best of the best. And
Yeah.
those that are below, the Hunters, the Martins, the Raffas, all that sort of stuff, to me, they are not in contention to take out the biggest show in the world. So Brandon beats them.
I'm just making a quick change. I'm after a little conversation about Hunter there.
Already got Hunter in seventh, so that's good.
Does that make us different now,
A little
John?
bit, I think. I've got Andrew in fifth, yeah.
And you got Martin in sixth.
Sorry, fuck.
All right, who you got after Brandon?
I'm gonna put Martin one place above Hunter. So I got Martin in seventh and Hunter in eighth.
Nice.
I don't know. I think Martin's just really, really good. I trust his coach. I feel the vibes I get off Tyler, and that is that they like Martin. He's really, really balanced. He was close to beating Nick. I don't think I was the best Nick. I think there'll be a better Nick at the Olympia. But man, he's just good. He's just really good, head to toe. And I think he can out condition and out complete Hunter, even though Hunter's got the naturally broader frame and things
Yeah.
like that.
I think they're going to be really interesting next to each other as well because they're similar in some ways as well, you know? And I just think Martin has a fresher look about him.
Great.
Yeah, so I just quickly made another change to I put Martin on top of Brandon.
Yeah.
I feel like Brandon's legs are going to be his downfall. I think age will catch up a little bit, and like Martin's legs are phenomenal.
Yeah.
So when they're standing next to each other, and it's not like Brandon's legs from the front wherever his strong point. I think it was more from the side and from the back. I don't remember him having, a crazy level of detail that someone can't stand next to him. So yeah, well, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Ninth and
Yeah.
10th, buddy.
Rafa in ninth. They love Rafa. Rafa's got that aesthetic appeal. I think he's
They
going
do
to be
love
really
him.
good. The 10th place spot's an interesting one. I would love to put Baruz there, but no one thinks Baruz is going to make it, do they?
Nah, I
He,
can't see it happening.
he would
Yeah.
be my 10th place guy.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd actually have him in where I've got Rafa right now. I've got
Yeah.
Rafa at ninth, and I'd have Bruise there.
I know Tyler likes Rafa though.
Yeah,
That's
but
what I think. Yeah.
doesn't tickle my pickle.
He never did for me until he did the Arnold this year.
Yeah, but you know what? Like the other thing with Rafa is he's just had a baby during the prep. And how much that can affect someone's prep, I don't know. I've never had a kid, so I'm just guessing here, but I can't assume that it's made the prep any easier. So whether that becomes a factor and we see conditions slip a little bit here, we haven't really seen any updates either.
Yeah.
So this is pure speculation on what I can see online. And I can't see having a kid and everything that comes along with that making this an easier process. So I think he'll have a slightly worse off package than what he had at the Arnold's.
Yeah. I think he'll be
Yeah.
slightly better. I don't know. He needs to be better in order to get that placing.
Yeah.
He's not going to get it if he's worse than the Arnold's because as good as he was there, his conditioning wasn't
No.
top 10 Olympia caliber conditioning in my eyes. I think he needs to come in tighter. There's a whole history of NBA players having a kid and then just going absolutely off. If you
Yeah.
follow the NBA closely, but there's a long history of players that they would have the birth of a child, and they come back and they tear the league apart. So there is a perspective and a motivation that a child gives you, which is different, and it would, from a psychological perspective, assuming you're sleeping in a totally separate part of the house and you can get your decent night's sleep, it's sort of like it puts everything in order in your life. Like this kid is now that this is the most important thing, and it kind of takes the pressure off in every other aspect of your life. So it would be it's interesting. I could see it going both ways.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Definitely.
So in 10th place, I'm really umming and ahhing about 10th place. I'm looking at Bonac and John De La Rosa and those guys, and I feel like they probably are the contenders. Is there anyone else I should be taking into consideration? I'm just trying to think of who else to be in the mix. I mean, Nathan Diash is not going to make it.
No.
Obviously, he went back and forth with Bonac and Baruz in those European shows. Just trying to think who else.
It's a shame Brett's not doing the qualifier for this year. It's a shame he didn't do the UK show.
Yeah.
I'm undecided on Brett until I see him on stage in posing trunks.
What one of these pages had
I'm sure one of them has a
I
list
think
somewhere.
RX Muscle posted it today.
RX?
Yeah,
I have a feeling it'll still probably come down to John De La Rosa and Bonac, and I'd probably lead towards De La Rosa. I'm not a huge. Here we go.
So we can scratch Tonio.
Yeah, he's out.
What about Jewett?
Ooh.
Do you think he could condition his way into that top 10?
He potentially could. I think he just looks like I remember him in the Toronto show, wasn't it, where he came third. He looked small, like he looked like a 212 guy that had gone up in terms of structure, not in terms of density and development. There's a hell of a lot of muscle on this guy. He could be 10th place, absolutely.
Yeah, he's pretty.
His condition, I just don't think. I think there's a lack of thickness in his back.
Yeah,
Standing next to someone like John De La Rosa
yeah, that's where he's
or,
going to
or
right.
William Bonac.
Yeah.
Condition-wise, I don't think he's going to have an issue.
No.
And
If he's not 10th, I think he's just outside of it.
yeah, I agree.
I feel like there's a whole bunch of guys like John De La Rosa, John Jewett, Mo Fuda, Bonac. I feel like all of those guys are just that 9th through 12th. It's gonna be super, super competitive. I don't know if I mix it up. I really like Mo Fuda's physique. Fuda. I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
Yeah. Then we
Yeah,
had
but
who won on yesterday.
yeah, I was somewhat surprised by that win. I thought Presti would take it along with most other people. I feel like Presti was in the best condition here.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, I was surprised by that result. Have you seen the scorecard for that?
I was just going to say they had him in third.
Yeah, but it was like the top three were all. It looks like the third place guy had first place votes. The first place guy had third place votes. Like it was super, super close, which is a really cool scorecard. Like look at that top three.
Far out.
Yeah, so he must have just come back to finals that much crisper and harder. I don't remember seeing a scorecard like that. It's super cool. I absolutely love it. The guy that came third could battle his way into first place.
Yeah, for sure. Are we surprised with Patrick Moore?
Pleasantly surprised.
You expected him? That's a good look for him?
I feel it was. I feel it was a very good look for him. I think, I feel like the sport's leveled up since he got that. When did he get that 10th place in the O? It was a while ago, 2019 or something like that. I thought he brought a really, really good look for him, maybe his best look ever. And I just think he was up against really big, dense, unbelievably conditioned guys. Like there was like that top three, no one's off. Like in fact, they're unbelievably on.
Yeah.
There is a video of him down there, Jordy, I think.
I just get caught up looking at Mandlem's
I
whatever
don't know.
his physique. Beautiful 212.
Where did he come third?
No, he
Yeah.
won. Didn't he
No,
win?
Edelman didn't win. He got third or fourth.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit. I thought he won.
Yeah. He was, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I thought there was a video of Patrick on here. I saw AJ put one up. I didn't know. I saw it shared a few times.
Yeah, Sulios had it. Not sure where else it is, but yeah, Patrick looked good in that show.
What does Patrick have to do to improve?
Put on 10 kilos of muscle.
It's been the case since.
Forever.
Yeah, he's not going to do it. Like, but I feel like it was a pretty good deep lineup and sixth place. So I thought he had a really good showing, but there he is.
Yeah. I just
Um,
think he's getting too old now. I think he's mid-40s.
yeah, agreed.
He was a late bloomer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna I don't think it will happen, it's such a hard time.
I don't see how he improved since the last time we seen him. Like
Well, I think he's waiting.
he was a
I
little
don't
bit,
think
I
but
think just conditioning, like I think he's got one of those physiques when he nails it, it all looks really pretty and well put together. If he's a little bit off, he just looks small and like he's way out of the running when he's off. So I think his conditioning was pretty much bang on in that show, and I think because of his shape and structure, he looks really good as a result.
Yeah. Lewis Breed is so fucking impressive.
so much muscle.
Yeah, it's been crazy. It's like it's not pretty at all, but yeah, I think that's probably like Patrick's downfall with this show as well. He was going up against such heavily muscled guys. Like it wasn't really a shape show at all. Like it was just density across that top 3, 4.
So here we've got the top 3.
I think I love Presti's physique, and I thought he was going to win this weekend. I didn't expect Bruno to win because I think he got fourth last weekend in Italy or something. But I think Presti's quads just let him down, especially when he gets like in gnarly condition. I just think they come down too much.
Like I don't know if it's just a lighting thing there, but like from the front, there was a lot more detail on Presti's legs.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, though. I just think they slim out a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I'm looking at this and I'm seeing Presti winning, but then again, if this is pre-judging, Presti did win.
Yeah.
So, who knows? Yeah, I would love to see a finals comparison just to see the difference, because it looks to me like Presti's got a significant conditioning advantage in that video.
Yeah.
This is
Finals.
Yeah, see, Bruno looks a lot sharper there.
He does. You can actually see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot sharper.
I wonder what the time difference was between prejudging and finals to make that much of a.
Yeah, I don't know. It probably would have been like a 9 a.m. show and 5 p.m. evening show or something,
Yeah.
He's super impressive. I think he only turned pro like recently, hey?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago. I think last weekend was his first show.
Yeah.
In Italy.
Wow.
So,
Please tell me he's not another one of these 23 or 24-year-olds.
he better not be. I'm getting sick of him.
Yeah, I am as well. It's crazy.
I will forever hold it against my parents for not putting me on GH at the age of 3.
Oh, yeah, it's super impressive.
Doesn't say how old he is, but
I wonder if I could put him 10th in the Olympia.
Do you reckon? That'd be pretty
that
impressive.
good. I don't think he's that good.
No, I don't think he's enough to be like a De La Rosa. I think De La Rosa is a pretty solid 10th, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I'm leaning that way as well. Give me De La Rosa in 10th.
all right.
Nice. Solid top 10. I don't think I want to change anyone.
I made my changes.
I have probably done Olympia predictions every year for the last 20 years, and I'm yet to get the top 6 right. So you can pretty much guarantee it's going to be wrong. It's so hard to do. Something always happens, or there's some outlier that just brings a level of conditioning that you never anticipated, or someone you thought was a lock for condition slips up. It's It's very hard to do, predict the Olympia. I used to, on my fan page back when I was engaging on social media, put up a thing where if you got the top 10 of the Olympia right, I would like sponsor you with free coaching. And I would have
Yeah.
hundreds of people put it up. Never did anyone get the top 10 right. And I knew that. Like, man, it's so hard. I guarantee you none of us get the top 10 right.
No,
Yeah.
not a chance. It's not happening.
Yeah.
But
It's
we
like
do have to work out a best
so
case.
exciting, though.
We do.
It makes it so exciting, you know?
Yeah, fucking oath. Fucking oath. We do need to put some stakes on this. We got to work out what.
How about literal steaks? How about Wagyu steaks?
Oh,
Like a Wagyu steak.
I'd go for anything right now.
Yeah, I'm sure you would.
Now, this is the serious question, Scotty.
All right.
What is the go-to Macca's order?
Oh man,
Your Macca's guy, do you like McDonald's?
I couldn't actually tell you the last time I've had Macca's. Like,
Oh.
well, I might have had a breakfast menu item. Like, I think I did have a breakfast menu item when I was in Japan. Outside of that, I do not attend Macca's.
You know what's fun? On this podcast, I make it sound like I smash Macca's in the off season. I don't think I've had Macca's since we had it in Queensland, Josh.
Yeah. I've had it probably once since then.
She's definitely prep brain talking.
Yeah, look, I'm not. I don't know. I'm an old man now. I don't eat the way I used to. I would probably get a lean chicken wrap or something really gay like that. Sorry to say.
What's the go-to cheat meal then?
Cheat meal for me? It's probably
When you're
sushi.
in your peak, when you're in your prime and not Bikini Scott now.
Oh, it was burgers and ice cream for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah. I used to be able to smash food. I was a big burger guy. Burgers was number one on my list, and then I'd polish it off with a tub of Ben and Jerry's, the Tonight dough.
That's good flavor.
Yeah.
Where was the burger from?
I would chop and change. Like I would go and do a few other places. I really liked 8-bit. I think 8-bit burgers. Yeah,
Okay.
they were high on my list. Trying to remember some of the other burger places. There's so many around. Like in Melbourne, there's a burger joint seemingly in every corner. So I would mix it up a bit, and I would love it every time. And it would always be, double beef patties and bacon. And I'm pretty sure my calcium score is off the charts, and I could drop dead midway through this podcast as a result of my bodybuilding days.
Yeah.
Get me back there.
It's so different how I eat and my perception of food now that I don't compete.
What's it like now?
Well, I'm a true intuitive eater, and it was a skill set I had to learn and force myself to learn it because I didn't know how to eat.
Like a normal person.
What was that?
Do you miss it? The life?
Not really.
No.
Like, but it took me a while to get to that point. Like for the first couple of years, I missed it, but now I don't. But yeah, I always thought that post bodybuilding, I'd be a big fat guy, like because that was where I gravitated towards in the off season. Like I was very comfortable with feeling full all the time. Like I went to bed full every single night in the off season because I was pushing, high 130s into the 140s on occasion. And you just need to eat that much food that if I went to bed feeling like I wasn't full, I felt like I'd missed out on an opportunity to consume more food that I needed to grow. So I just became
food got to.
I mean, well, I never had a crazy metabolism. Even when I was top in 140, I was only on 6,500 calories a day. But 60, yeah, exactly. 6,500 calories a day is an obscene amount of food, really, if you go about it semi-responsibly. And I remember even then, I would blend the last 1,500 calories.
What was that like? What was in the 1,500 calories for you to blend?
Man, it was everything. It was like ice cream, peanut butter, honey, bananas, protein powder. Like it was everything. It's the only way to get it to 1,500 calories. Like it's hard to do. But I could literally eat about 5,000 calories worth of beef mince, rice, avocados, oils, cereals, all that sort of stuff. So I'd eat that. And then at the end of the day, it'd be like, all right, there's no way I can consume this in whole food. I'm going to liquefy it and get it down.
That's why I'm at. I think it's like 5,000 calories is like the max of like clean, good food I can eat. And then anything past that, it's got to be someone else.
Yeah, it's tough. So yeah, Yeah. And now I literally put little to no thought in food. Like I mean, I shouldn't say that. I eat to feel good,
Yeah.
have energy, and be able to like I almost eat for brain function, which sounds really, really weird rather than physical function. But I need to be alert and sharp and have consistent
Yeah.
energy throughout the day in order to get through the workload that I have. And that's my priority. And if I'm going to stray a little bit, I'd probably do stray at nighttime when things have sort of settled down and I might have a little treat then. But outside of that, I do eat pretty clean and I'm I maintain 108 to 110 kilos year round, and I probably do so on like 3,000 calories a day.
Hybrid athlete lifestyle right there.
It's crazy.
Man can do it all.
Yeah, your homeostasis now is still quite heavy though, and you've still got a lot of muscle mass.
Yeah, and I don't deserve it. Like if you look at my training, I've still got really big hamstrings. That's the one thing I look at. I'm like, God damn, those hamstrings are impressive. And I'm like,
Really, hey?
those 3 sets of curls a week are really paying off.
What's training like now?
I generally train 4 days a week. I try to hit most upper body parts twice a week and legs once a week as a general rule. I was trying to get into increasing my leg training volume, and for a while there, I was training them alternatively, sort of once a week, 1 week, and then twice a week the next week. But man, my knees are so broken down now that I just can't get away with that anymore. So once a week seems to be the most I can get away with and still be functional as a human being and not in constant pain.
What year was your best look?
What was it? It was the year I lost to Josh Lenardowitz. Was that 2014? 2014 was my best look. I was 38 years old. And then in 2015, I went backwards for just due to accumulation of injuries. And I was just
Yeah,
like, I'm done.
that was it.
Did you compete that year, or was that the last competition that you did in 2014?
I competed in 2015. Yeah, I did the pro qualifier. I lost to Atif Anwar, and another guy. I'm trying to remember who it was, but I'd beaten him before, and then he beat me, and I just noticeably went backwards. I was downsized due to a nerve issue in my neck, my chronic knee problems,
Yeah.
and I even tore my supraspinatus in that prep. So I was just sort of like, oh man,
Oh man.
this isn't happening. And I always said to myself, like, I'll keep competing as long as I'm getting better. And
Yeah.
as soon as I start getting worse, I just don't want to be that guy that's just,
Just
in
there.
there, just doing it. And I honestly felt like I'd got everything I could get out of bodybuilding. I don't know, like you get a level of personal development from bodybuilding. You learn a lot about yourself. You acquire self-discipline and,
Yeah.
all that
I've always said
valuable tools.
if you can take the best parts out of a prep or being a bodybuilder and apply it to the rest of your life, you'd kick ass in whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah.
If you solely took the best elements of the prep out.
I
So
completely agree,
the,
Jordy.
the, the self-discipline, attention to detail, everything that it
Good.
takes to get through a prep. Like if you apply that to a business, there's no way that business wouldn't be better off for it.
Yeah.
But
I
How,
agree.
so like after you retired, I don't even think we've talked about this as well. Maybe we have, but like after you retired, what was the transition then into coaching? Because obviously that was like what, 9, 10 years ago now. What was the transition like to decide that you wanted to do full-time coaching? Because I assume you were probably still coaching a few people at that time.
I was a personal trainer and a coach then. Like that's what I did. I was a lot more hands-on with personal training than I was online coaching, certainly. But it was a natural transition. I continued on with personal training and coaching, and it just naturally evolved to a more of an online model. And that was just probably through, analysis of profitability. Like I like one-on-one training, but it's not as lucrative as coaching if you've got good systems and structure in place. So ultimately, the turning point for me was 2021 when Jess Johnson won her pro card at the Nationals, and then Melissa Carver won the pro show and qualified for the Olympia. And at that point, I came back from that weekend and I told all my PT clients, I can no longer do PT. I'm only doing coaching. I've got 100 bikini girls inquiries in my inbox, and this is what I'm going to do from here on. So it just evolved. As you sort of work harder and succeed in something, and you get recognized for it, and the business sort of takes care of itself. And then it was just a case of increasing the professionalism, increasing the systems and structure, bringing on other awesome coaches, because there's only way you can do it to scale a business. And it's just sort of gone from there, and hopefully it continues to evolve, and hopefully I can continue working with coaches like you, Josh, because you are absolutely killing it. And in time that could even grow further. And I was very scared of taking a week off and going to Bali. I was very, very nervous about it because I just hadn't done it in 5 years.
Didn't let on that you were gonna
Yeah, I was really angsty and didn't. I don't know. I'm a little bit of a control freak, as you know, Josh. I like to just change things just because I like it this way. And it was incredibly successful, and it just showed me just how good you are and how good everyone in my team is. And it also showed me that my clients are not that delicate and they don't need that much hand holding, because most of them are like, oh, finally. Yeah, you've done you realize you've done 132 straight check-ins and you've always replied within 12 hours. So it's probably about time you took a holiday, And I was like, oh, thanks.
Do you have working under you now?
I guess I've got 6 employees in a way. Like I've got 4 coaches. Josh is the main one. And then I've got 3 other coaches that have their sort of roles and specialty and only want to take on a certain workload. And then I've got my social media manager, Victoria, and then I've got a virtual assistant that handles all inquiries and billing and admin and software and systems and stuff like that. So I'm essentially a full-time coach. I would like to get more into the education aspect of it. Like I kind of feel that's my downfall as the leader of the team at the moment, is I still overwhelm myself with coaching work to the point where I don't get to sit down with Josh and just, chew the fat and go over, fine details and stuff like that. So I really want to scale back the amount of coaching I do so I can commit more time to mentoring, upskilling my coaches.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I love coaching. Like I love coaching, Jordy. And a talented athlete says, "Can you fit me in?" I'm like, "Yes, I can."
You can
I will find the time.
Yeah, you can see that though, and the results speak for itself. So from the outside looking in, it's not like we've spoken a whole heap about, coaching other than when I see you at a show or whatever. But, you see your athletes pop up and they just always seem to be in the conversation. So it's a credit to you and the rest of your team that you've got. And I had no idea your team was that big, to be honest. So I'm quietly blown away right now at that level.
Yeah, well, I think I've learned over the years to delegate to a degree. Like my strength is clearly not social media, so I need a social media person.
Yeah.
And she does a bang up job. And things like paperwork and billing and all that sort of stuff, it sucks the life out of me. I just can't be bothered with it. So if I can pay someone to do that, and put more time into the actual coaching, which I love, and I can generate enough income to justify paying that person, then why wouldn't I? I joke about it. Like I'm just an employee here at Team Goble. I'm just a coach here. You want something like that? Talk to Victoria. You want something like that? Speak to Mary, my VA. And I like the business structure, and I would encourage others to do that. Like if you're a great coach, but you struggle with marketing, get someone that does good marketing. Lean into your strengths and hire people to address your weaknesses. And I mean, it's easy to say that once you get to a certain level of income, I guess, because, if you're, barely scraping together 30, 40 grand a year, you don't have the luxury of paying people.
Yeah.
But, once you get to a certain level, you will make more money as a result of paying experts in their field to do the job for you.
So where would you like this business to be in, let's say, the next 5 years? Where do you see Team Goble being? And
I would love to be
your position.
Yeah, I would love to be handling 30 elite clients a year, like that are pros or in pro contention.
Yeah.
I would love to have a much more hands-on role with my coaches. The way I see Josh's development, I think Josh is not just to blow smoke up his ass because he's right here, but he's an unbelievably good coach considering his age and experience. Like I look at coaching as you have to have a number of things. You have to have knowledge. Josh has got knowledge. You have to have professionalism. Josh is as professional as me and as prompt as me, and that's probably the thing that I love about him the most because I'm incredibly anal about response times and things like that. And if things get delayed, I'm like just a nervous wreck. I'm just like, this client needs to know. And it's like they're a lifestyle client. Like they were 2 days late with their check-in. You don't have to respond within 3 hours, Scott. Relax, you know. Uh, so you have to have the professionalism, the knowledge, you have to have the experience, and you have to have the communication skills. Josh has got professionalism, knowledge, and the great communication skills, and he's accumulating experience fast. And so by the time he's my age, he's going to be a 10 times better coach than me because we're also all learning at the same rate. And the amount of knowledge and information that's coming out now is greater than ever. Like I'm a far better coach now than I was 3 years ago. So imagine what Josh is going to be like in 20 years. It's going to be ridiculous. So yeah, I would like to get to the point where, you know, Josh is just working autonomously with incredible high level athletes. He could potentially have a team under him, you know, like the scope is limitless, really. So yeah, but ultimately, yeah, I would like to have less clients, very high level clients, and then invest more time in my coaches.
Yeah.
I say that, but then, you know, after nationals, I got about 10 people lined up to come on board.
Yeah. It's always the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for me, like the passion for coaching is there and I love it, but I'm very black and white, and I think I've already said this in the podcast with my coaching, is that this comes down to my experience as like I come from a martial arts background. So I've done martial arts since I was 3 years old. So when I'm instructed to do something, that's it. There's no question outside of that. Here's what you do, and this is how you do it, and that's it. So not that my coaching is the same because when you're working with lifestyle clients, it's very, very different. But I'd I would love to be able to get to the point where I am working with the higher level athletes or even more contest prep clients eventually down the line when I feel like that's the right time. I think I've spoken to you before, Scotty, about taking on contest prep clients on whether I think me and Ruby were at that level of coaching because taking someone to stage and taking someone through a fat loss journey are very different. So we had our first contest prep client in season B who did phenomenal in figure for a natural girl. So, you know, we're slowly getting into that and we should have more girls competing next year, which is exciting. But for me, the struggle is my passion is so much into training and hands-on training face to face. So I really want to work out a way to be able to work with as many high-level athletes, training them face to face. Like if I could have a day where I'm full of training competitors and making them little adjustments to their training that make all the difference, that's where I'd like things to go. Whether that leads me down training seminars, training camps, or whatever. It's just my passion with all of this started in the gym and it's eventually snowballed. But like you said at the start, it's how can you scale that far where with online you can work with, you know, an endless amount of people. But if I could somehow become, I don't know, like Psycho Lewis just gets clients come to him just to train them. And I'm sure I'm probably going blank on other trainers that there are as well. But if I could somehow build a team of athletes that I worked with purely on the training side of things, like they had their coach that set everything, did everything else, and I'm purely here to make sure you get the best results in the gym.
Yeah.
That's where I'd like things to go for me as a coach. And then me and Ruby obviously have the rest of the online business.
Yeah.
So that's where I'd eventually like to end up.
Well, I assume, Jordy, you're watching Chris's videos at the moment. He's got Justin King that's helping him, and he's like And he's like, I mean, the perfect example of that, like Hani is obviously Chris's coach, but like Justin comes in and does all the PT stuff and teaches him different things, like it's very like athletic stuff as well to make sure he's
Yeah.
mobile and not just stiff as fuck.
Yeah.
So,
So like the passion and enjoyment that I get from like a client coming to me and saying they haven't been able to feel their back or they haven't had a good connection with their back, they struggle this and that. And for me to meticulously break down their exercises, their movement, down to little things like where your head placement is, where you're positioning your hips in the seat, where you're putting the pressure through your hands when you're pulling. It's like I get off to that shit.
yeah.
It's just it's my thing that I just love. So if I could find a way to break into working with athletes within the gym and taking their training to the next level, and not sitting here saying that I've got this secret recipe to training, but it's just things that you might not be thinking about when you're training by yourself.
Yeah.
So that's my little mission to work out how to break into that side of things.
I like it.
It'll just naturally evolve. Like if that is your passion and you continue to accumulate knowledge and tricks and cues and everything else and experiment with yourself and the clients that you do have, it'll just happen.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, what you described is a Mike Van Wyck sort of
Yeah.
style, where, and I'm pretty sure Mike's doing very, very well for himself. But again, he's just worked up to that.
Yeah.
Nothing comes easily, it's all years and years in the making. Like I was a terrible coach when I started. Like I started coaching people in 2007, so I have been doing this for 17 years. So it's yeah, and I'm still getting better. Like I look at the stuff I was doing 3 years ago and I'm embarrassed, like it's just
Yeah,
like, oh, what
it's
was I
funny. I had a
thinking?
client say to me on a call yesterday, like, "Oh, it must be, such a good lifestyle to be, an online coach." And I'm like, I've been doing this now for like 7, 8 years, and I'm only just getting to the point where I can sort of pick my times when I want to work,
Yeah.
sort of. But like, there was years there where I was struggling to make any money, and like I was PTing for very, very little money. Like I was making like by the time I paid the rent at the gym, I think I was walking away with like $20 per client. And
I
it's
was
not like I had a lot of a list of clients at the door. It was probably like 2 or 3 clients a week at that time. And like it's not easy to break into this and be good at it. So that's where it's a credit to coaches like yourself, Scotty, that have been at this for, over 10 years now, that have the level of success you do because you were starting when it was reasonably new, and now you are somewhat setting the standard for the rest of the coaches in the industry in Australia.
Mm. Yeah, it's funny. Like, I mean, yeah, but I wasn't good when I started, like, and I was a failed PT on a number of occasions. Like, I failed as a PT, not due to knowledge or work ethic or something like that. It's just that I couldn't. I hated PTing Gen Pop. I hated PTing
Oh,
people that I needed to motivate, and it just broke me. And I was just like, "Ah, man, this is just too hard. I'm just going to get a job with a wage and just do this instead because you're just sucking the life out of me." Like, so it wasn't until I established a high enough level of a reputation within the bodybuilding community that I could acquire or train other competitors. And then
yeah,
eventually I got to the point where I was almost exclusively training competitors. That's a lot more fun for me personally than training Gen Pop because they're motivated, they're driven, they want to be their best. All they need is some guidance.
yeah.
I'm happy to provide that. Whereas when it comes to providing motivation, ah, look, if you don't want it enough, go home. you know?
I've countlessly say to new clients to sign up with me, especially face-to-face ones, that my job is not to motivate you. So if you don't want this, I will match your energy level. So right or wrong, but my job is not to motivate you to come to the gym and show up. You either want it or you don't want it. I think that's the benefit and maybe a downfall of having an athlete as a coach or someone that's been an athlete. We're very self-driven. So you either want this or you don't want this. There's no in the middle. but
Right.
those clients can be difficult to find.
Sure.
They can be difficult to find, yeah. But eventually, again, like you start off, you just have to eat it, don't you? Like
Yeah.
you have to
You
just
have
cop
no
it.
choice.
You have no choice. If this is the path you want to go on, you just have
Yep.
to persist and get on with it. And over time, you'll shift from, you start with 90% unmotivated and 10% motivated, and eventually that ebbs and shifts, and eventually you got 90% highly motivated clients just because you haven't stopped working, and stopped getting better at your trade.
Yeah. I think that's a good note to end on, boys.
So too.
Scotty,
Thanks.
it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
My shoulders don't look like Tom's. I was watching your other ones, and Tom is the only individual whose shoulders grow up.
No,
Like these delts actually grow up before
Really?
they come out. I'm just like, how does that even work?
he trains delts. He does one set a week.
Unbelievable.
Like Dean literally has him doing one set a week.
That's just ridiculous.
I know. It doesn't make sense.
Scotty, are you going to the show this weekend?
Of course, mate.
Beautiful. Looking forward to it. Hopefully Mike Pearson lives up to expectations.
Like so.
Yeah, that's going to be super exciting.
So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. All right. Scotty, we'll probably see you at Nationals.
You will
Yep.
indeed.
See you next week.
Joshy, we'll talk next week.
Ciao. I'll see you next week.
Absolute pleasure,
I'll be in
boys.
Melbourne. We'll be doing this next one.
Yes. The man is in town.
Yeah, next Monday. We'll train everyone.
Yeah, let's do something.
Yeah, and he's started his peak week for Nationals.
Yeah.
We'll smash legs, Jordy. We'll smash legs.
Let's do it. All righty. I'll see you soon.
Done. We'll speak soon.
There you go.
Bye-bye.